One.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's March 25th, 2026 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I am calling this meeting to order. Please rise and join me if you're physically able to. Otherwise, rise in spirit. I'm going to ask our Town Clerk, Dan Eamon, to lead us in the pledge tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dan.
Sure.
Not quite a first, but it's been a while.
Nice job.
In just a couple minutes, we will begin the open forum portion of our meeting. The open forum is the opportunity for members of the public to share their comments with the town board about any topic, whether or not it's on our agenda tonight. Although I will say that if you want to speak concerning the one public hearing that we have relating to the proposed incentive zoning of 885 South Winton Road, hold your comments till we call that public hearing if you want your comments to be on the record. If you are here in the room, well, we'll get into all the particulars, but if you're not here in the room, you'll have to log into our Teams meeting in order to participate live during the open forum. There are detailed instructions for doing that on the town's webpage, www.brightony.gov. As we have done now for many, many years, all of our town board meetings are accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community thanks to our ASL interpreters. We have two of our regulars tonight, Samantha Geffen, Michael Fisher. Thank you both. We appreciate all the many nights you've been with us. The agenda for tonight's meeting, as a reminder, is out on the table outside the room, or if you're watching us remotely, it is available on the town's webpage. Again, www.brightony.gov. And all of the supporting materials that we'll be relying on in making our decisions tonight are there as well. We have no proclamations for tonight, so we will go right into the open forum. If you'd like to speak during the open forum, once I finish reading these instructions, raise your hand. I'll ask you to go to the podium. Please state your name and address if you would. I do ask speakers during the open forum, whether in person or remotely, to limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. Again, if you are on remote and would like to participate in the open forum, go to Teams, use the raised hand function when we get there, and you'll have the opportunity to speak as well. Bless you.
No, thanks.
If you have questions or comments about a matter that's not on tonight's agenda, we may not be able to answer it. We might, but we might not. But in any event, our goal during the open forum is always to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with us and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully to your questions or your comments. So please, if you do have comments during the open forum, please direct them to the town board and not to the audience. Please avoid personal attacks and outbursts of any kind, including applause or booing, out of respect for the audience and respect for the other speakers. Persons who don't follow these rules will be warned. Repeated failure to follow the rules, I don't anticipate that, but just in case, may result in your speaking privileges being ended early or in the early termination of the open forum. And again, if you're here to speak on the public hearing concerning 885 South Winton Road, the proposed Malex Lipman's facility, please hold your comments until that public hearing, which will be coming up very, very shortly. So with that, is there anyone here that would like to address the board during the open forum portion of the meeting? either in person or remotely? Hearing none. Chris, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Bill, I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. No suspense. We do have one public hearing tonight. It is a public hearing on an incentive zoning proposal for property located at 885 South Winton Road. The proposal was submitted by John August on behalf of an entity to be formed. That entity, it is represented as the contract vendee of that property, and the goal is the redevelopment of the property to house not only Lippman's Kosher Market and Malik's Bakery, but also a related cultural facility. The proposed project is being considered under the state and town's incentive zoning law, largely because the property is not currently zoned for the uses that are contemplated by the application. Just a little quick history. Under the town's incentive zoning law, the first step in the process was a consideration by the town board as to whether this project was worthy of further review. And the board unanimously voted that it was. That triggers a referral to the planning board. The planning board reviewed, really it's a conceptual site plan type review, and they also approved what they saw and referred it back to the town board where it is tonight for a consideration of the merits of the proposal and a public hearing. So we will open that public hearing tonight. I do not anticipate that we will be taking any action tonight, and I anticipate we will hold the hearing open until our next meeting, when we'll close it and then consider taking action. That next meeting will be on April 8th. But we will start the hearing tonight. Dan, has the necessary legal notice been given in this matter?
Yes, Supervisor. Notice was in the March 4th edition of the Daily Record.
Thank you. Notice having been given, I declare this public hearing to be open, and unless, John, you have anything more you want to say before we hear our first speakers, I will recognize Jerry Goldman, counsel for the applicant.
I do not, Supervisor.
Jerry.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. For the record, my name is Jerry Goldman. I'm the attorney and agent for John August, who is the applicant this evening for incentive zoning. With us tonight on the application are Mr. August in the front row, Ari, his son Ari, who is part of the group that is involved, as well as the proposed, or the operators and owners of both Lippman's Kosher Market and Malik's Bakery, Naftali and Anna Hanau. It's unusual for me to have the privilege of saying we're all Brighton residents, and it's nice to be before the board on what is a uniquely Brighton application. I would also like to point out that in addition to the public notice which went out, the town has a policy of public notice on incentive zoning and rezoning applications, which says that neighbors within 1,000 feet of the property should receive postcards and or letters and notices. And in fact, 232 notices went out in addition to the standard notice, which is required under state law in the newspaper. I'm going to talk a little bit about the application, the framework. The supervisor did a very good summary of a lot of the elements of it, but for those who are not familiar, this property is located at the southwest corner of South Winton Road and Verena Drive, and currently is a vacant building that used to be a medical lab facility. What is being proposed is to repurpose the building, essentially the building itself with the same footprint, for Malik's and Lippman's, which currently are operating businesses on Monroe Avenue, each of which have challenges primarily as they relate to parking. Each of them have approximately 4 to 5 parking spaces that are available to them and on their particular sites. And the Hanows who have acquired both businesses have stepped up their game, if you will, and provided, not their game, stepped up the game of the businesses and have provided a wonderful complement to our community. The property is zoned BE2, which is office transitional, and for that reason, we would need to come before this board for incentive zoning relief on the use. But the use itself also has 2 elements of cultural facilities which are permitted in the BE2 district. In particular, there is going to be an homage to Jewish bakery and essentially Jewish cooking within the building on the walls, and also in respect of the current owners of the property who are descendants and relationship to Holocaust survivors. We're proposing a pocket park for the benefit of the immediate neighborhood and the town at the corner of Winton and Varina, which details are being worked out, and we have worked with the planning board and continue to work. We know that a lot of the goals of enhancing green space and quality green space in the town is very important, and that is part of what the program is that we are dealing with. Now, the incentive zoning, as the supervisor did point out, does allow us to get relief from the town code to allow the use, proposed use at this location. In addition to that, we are looking to confirm and legalize existing bulk requirements and setbacks dealing with the property itself, and that's part of our incentive zoning application. Really, the only changes to the property are going to be the addition of a cooler in an area which is a notch in the back of the building, and the pocket park that we have talked about. Other than that, the building remains the same. We will work toward massaging the site and site plan with the planning board as part of the site plan review process. So the incentives, and that's what they're referred to, the incentives that we're seeking are relatively limited. As part of the incentive zoning law, there is to be an offer of what are referred to as amenities to the town in exchange for those incentives which are granted. The incentives we have and that are proposing are numerous, and some of them have a monetary value, some of them don't. A lot of them are operational. One of the main ones is the preservation of these 2 iconic uses. We're down to 1 kosher bakery, 1 kosher meat market in Rochester. When I was growing up, there were multiples of each of them in Brighton. In Brighton, some of them across the street from each other. It was a pretty amazing time. But now we're in preservation mode, because as we look upstate, we have very few of those facilities anywhere in the upstate New York area. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people look toward Rochester as being the home of that. And a secondary benefit is that it is a point of attraction for professionals who observe kosher dietary laws. There's also one other factor that I keep on pointing out and taken to heart by the Hanows, and that is that because of the nature of the bakery and because of the rules dealing with kosher, there is a segregation of dairy products and other products. So the bakery, as it stands right now, is solely non-dairy and really serves the lactose intolerant community. As a matter of fact, as oddly enough, this afternoon, I got a call from one of my associates who said, I happen to be at Malik's, not knowing that I was involved in this application at all, because I'm getting a birthday cake for my father because he's lactose intolerant, and that's the only place I know where he is, where I know that I'm going to be able to get something that doesn't have any dairy products. So you may or may not have recognized the guy with longer hair and a beard who came in mid-afternoon. That was him, and he did make a purchase. But in addition to providing this service, which we have endorsement from the Board of Rabbis, which is part of our application, as well as others, Flower City Foods, which is the Hanau's company, is committed to contribute to the Brighton food cupboard as it deals with product. And in addition to that, there's a proposal for a cash amenity to be going to the town over the course of time to help with public facilities and the like. So with all of that having been said, we did provide a full letter of intent setting forth all the standards which are required under the town's incentive zoning law, which gets into details such as a finding and an analysis of whether infrastructure is sufficient for this particular use and the like, and we do have expert advice and testimony on that. With that, I would like to stop the presentation at this point because, as Mr. Hanau points out to me, Passover is next week, so the brisket are calling, and he's going to be getting to work very early in the morning, and as you know, bakeries always have early morning work and early morning hours. So with that having been said, I will leave it open to any questions that the board may have or respond to any comments that the board wishes to have us deal with from the public.
Thank you, Jerry. What I think we'll do is see if there are any members of the audience who want to speak, and then the board can ask questions of you, and I imagine the Hanaus would also make themselves available for any questions. So is there anyone that would like to address the board on this public hearing? Yes, please, come on up to the...
My name's Rochelle Bell. I live on Rhinecliff Drive, and I've talked with a number of my neighbors about this. Everyone loves Malik's, and some of them love Lipman's too. They just don't know. So some of the questions that have come up have to do with trash management, thinking that bakery and deli will present a different kind of trash issue than the current approved use. Also concerned about traffic. There's a fair amount of cutting through between Winton and Monroe on Verona and Rhinecliff. And so we're wondering if there's, I haven't looked at the site plan, is there any talk about closing that egress onto Verona so that the ingress and egress is off Winton? So trash, traffic, outdoor seating was requested, which I was looking through the file on the way in, was happy to see that looks like that's already been taken into account. Lots of support for small business, but on the other hand, concern that two small businesses on Monroe will be, closing. I mean, it's the same business, but it's just moving them around. And I know that's really not part of this application. And also, this is just a question. I don't know if it's appropriate for right here, right now, but how do you get to the dollar amount of the $10,000 that you mentioned as part of the, amenity? That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Rochelle. I can answer that last one. It was an offer that was made by the applicant, along with the rest of their package. It's the amenity package is something that we always consider in an incentive zoning review that is part of the specified legal review under our town code for incentive zoning review, and similarly in the state law that established incentive zoning. So that's how it came, that number came before us. We'll consider that along with the other amenities. But I will let council.
Everyone else?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, let's do that. Would anybody else like to address the board during the public hearing? Sure, come on up. And again, please state your name and address if you would for the record.
Hello, I'm Susan Boland, and I live on Hollywood Avenue, on the corner of Oakwood and Hollywood. So Malix is part of my backyard, which has been very desirable. And regard to garbage, we've never noticed any impact that way. My question is really concerning the existing Malix building. Is that going to be for sale? And are there any, is there any thinking about the historic nature of that building being under consideration to protect its addition to the community? That's that.
Thank you.
It will be answered now. Should I sit down?
You can, sure. Yeah, because we are certainly aware of the historical significance of the building. Are there anybody else that would like to address the board during the public hearing? If not, I will invite counsel again, Jerry Goldman, to answer those questions.
Okay. I will address everything but the trash, because I'm not sure of the details, and I'll leave it to the handouts to address that. But in listening to Rochelle's comments with regard to traffic, right now there is an access off of Varina, and that is primarily servicing not only our property but the property next door, and we have a cross-access agreement and cross-parking agreement dealing with the building that people historically have affectionately known as the Farish Office Building at 818 South Winton. But it is a functional, pretty much necessity for trucks to be able to access the area where food is delivered, where the cooler is, and everything else. It's not meant to be anything more than that type of entrance. We expect that South Winton Road will be the primary access point for this site. With regard,
Both for ingress and egress?
correct.
Okay.
With regard to the amenity, the supervisor spoke well to that. The only comment that I will make is that there is no formula which is mandated under state law or under the town's own code. So that is something which is basically an offer and a consideration by the board in terms of how they feel about it. There is no set methodology that goes along with that. With regard to the question of the existing Malix building, quite some time ago, if I'm not mistaken, the Historic Preservation Commission did in fact declare the building to be a landmark building. And it's landmark for a reason that I think is somewhat unique, and that is that the town offices were located on the second floor of that building above a supermarket, during an interim period when this, our current town hall was being constructed in 1951. I trust that this building will not will not have the same fate with regard to it being landmarked as being a town office. But, yeah, it's hard to tell what's going to happen 50 years from now, right? So to answer your question, it is in fact protected by the law. And what that does, by the way, is that it requires consideration by the Historic Preservation Commission for a certificate of appropriateness for any exterior alterations. It's not to say exactly what they would do and what they would allow, but but it is under special governmental scrutiny as a historic structure. If you guys can speak a little bit to trash and how that will be handled, that would be great.
My name is Naftali Hanau. I live at 207 Oakdale Drive. So I'll also just note on the buildings themselves, part of the reason that drives this whole project is that both the existing locations from Alex and Lippman's have suffered from years of deferred maintenance, and the buildings are literally kind of crumbling around us, and it's really uneconomic to operate these businesses in these buildings, and especially as separate businesses, which is really a driving motivation to bring them together, because the ongoing cost of repairs and equipment maintenance that is needed is just unviable for these businesses in the long term. In terms of trash management, though, it's really pretty straightforward. We already have, we've been speaking with the neighbor on their trash and dumpster plan, and we would basically use the same dumpster and just increase frequency of pickups. We are not, when you think about Lippman's as a meat market, the kind of meat that is being cut there is what's called boxed beef, right? Meat is coming in subprimal cuts, which are smaller cuts, and we are, we're not breaking down whole sides of beef. We're not slaughtering animals. There's not large amounts of food waste. There is very small amounts of trim, which usually get used in the ground beef and in the sausage and things like that. So much gets repurposed. We do hope that when we combine the sites together, we are able to also move towards composting the food waste, but that would be picked up daily just to minimize any issues. I mean, as a food business, we are, really required and incentivized to run a very clean operation. We don't want any insects. We don't want any vermin. We don't want waste. We don't want an unsightly building. And also, the town and the neighbors and the residents should understand. I grew up in this neighborhood. I grew up on Chadbourne Road. We live on Oakdale. We are part of this neighborhood, and our family will actually be part of the ownership group of the building. So another, issue that, is a challenge for us as operators of these businesses is we do not own the current spaces. We have landlords who own the buildings who also have deferred much of their maintenance obligations over the years, whereas we are going to be coming in with a group of owners who is dedicated to this project's success for the Brighton community and the Jewish community. And we are really, incentivized into having these businesses be a point of pride, being a feather in the cap of Brighton. So I think that, we have a very good handle on the logistics. I mean, my life is logistics. It's just with getting the things and the people where they need to be on time, whether it's meat or staff or vehicles, is pretty much all I do, and I love it. So then it's the same thing with the waste, right? It has to be taken out of the room. We have places in our plans to make sure, okay, the receiving room is where the boxes get stored when they're broken down, and then they go out to, the garbage daily, or they go to the recycling dumpster. So we should be in a very good position to make sure that the building is really, and the building and the use and the businesses are really a boon for the community and not a, a distraction or an unsightly eyesore, I guess. So, thank you.
Thank you, Naf.
Well, I had a few questions myself.
Let's see.
We have more from the
Yeah, let's see
public.
if, Jerry?
I'm set. I was just getting up here to be able to answer any questions that the board may have.
Are there any other questions or comments from the public first? Yes, Rochelle. If you would come up to the, And just, if you would, state your name and address again for the record.
Oh, my address too. Rochelle Bell, 311 Rhinecliff Drive. You mentioned trucks, someone mentioned trucks, which no one else had mentioned. And so we are now wondering how frequent will the trucks be and what time of day? And there's a lot of walkers there all day, but especially during school hours. And then, of course, there's the neighbor right behind the place and across the street. So I'm just wondering if you could talk a little more about the trucks. Thanks.
And Neff again.
Nav Hanau again, still 207 Oakdale. I'm going to address that backwards because we had a great meeting with the neighbor today, actually, who was very pleased. He said he has no issues with the project, so that was very lovely. That's the immediate neighbor. In terms of trucks, we do receive deliveries by truck. So baking ingredients usually come in via truck. We get meat deliveries by trucks. We probably receive about, between the two businesses, you can say an average of 3 deliveries a week. Typically, our deliveries are arriving in the late morning. Sometimes they are arriving in the mid-afternoon, but they're usually, we are not, I mean, the 1 or 2 bakers go in very, very early to start baking, but that's, a baker coming in their car, and, that's not a loud thing. But typically, those deliveries are in the midday, and one of the many nice things about this property is because there is the entrance point for deliveries along the back, it is very easy for those trucks to get in safely. Right now, we have trucks, when Malix gets deliveries of baking ingredients, traffic can stop on Monroe Avenue because the trucks have to do very complicated maneuvers to get through. But to deliver to this location, it is a much more straightforward process where the trucks can just come in off Winton Road and then either front or back in to the back of the building. Obviously, for sure, any business in any location, right, receiving deliveries has to be careful of pedestrians, and we have been very, we have had no incidents in the past. We hope that we will continue to never have incidents in the future, but it is a very well set up building, and I don't know the technical term for the parking and egress area, but that area is actually really well set up to safely, and if, for us, obviously we are concerned about the safety of people in the neighborhood, but also for our staff, right, to be able to safely unload. Bakery products come in 50-pound bags nowadays. They used to be in 100-pound bags, but thanks to OSHA, they're 50-pound bags. But sometimes cases of meat can weigh, they're really not supposed to pack them over 60 pounds, but sometimes you get those 80-pound cases. So for us to have, it's very difficult in our current locations to receive these deliveries. But this should be, a much safer place. And I'll also say in general, to the concerns about, and my kids also walk to these stores, and our kids walk to our businesses now. And one of the great things is our kids who work in the business will be able to walk here and walk through the neighborhood, and they're not crossing any major streets to get, to the new location, hopefully. So we are very concerned with the safety of the children. I lost the train of thought, but it will be much easier to get the deliveries, and it should be a boon for safety overall when you look at the impact of taking that kind of delivery traffic off of Monroe Avenue and moving it onto Winton, where the trucks can again safely access the building, but they can also just get off of the main road much more easily than right now. Right now, when we're receiving those deliveries, it really has a negative impact on what's happening on Monroe Avenue.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public for the public hearing? We will not be closing the public hearing tonight. We will continue the public hearing at the next meeting, and we'll give you a chance to, even after any questions from the board, we'll give you all one more chance. But Rochelle, did you want to ask one more question? Sure.
For your patience. Rochelle Bell, 311 Rhinecliff Drive. 2 more questions. The cooler, I don't have a visual on it, or what does it sound like? Is it loud? And what about signage?
Thank you.
Nath Hanau, 207 Oakdale Drive. The cooler will be facaded, might be the term, to match the existing building. It's just a 10 by 10 freezer, so that when meat is delivered, it can go right into the freezer and not have to be run around through inside. So that stuff can be stored directly outside, again, for employee safety and just efficiency in general. And all of the refrigeration equipment is planned to be going on the roof of the building with screening as needed. But modern refrigeration equipment is not really any louder than modern HVAC equipment. So if you think about the amount of noise that your neighbor's air conditioner has, it's a similar thing. But again, all of that equipment is going to be up on the rooftop and appropriately screened. So it's hard to imagine there would be really much impact at all, because this equipment, I mean, if you're hearing the equipment, it means that there's something wrong with the equipment, and there'll be a service call happening shortly.
Thank you, Nat. If there's no one else at the moment, Chris.
Jerry, a number of these items, I believe, are addressed in your letter of intent, but I just wanted to review them.
Sure.
But Ms. Bell does raise one issue that could be of some concern, cut through from Monroe Avenue in through the neighborhood there. It would be kind of a natural access route. Any ideas of how that can be minimized?
In essence, I think that our road network is pretty well set up to allow us to utilize the main road, so use Monroe, and to use Winton Road. I think that the cut-through traffic will be relatively minimized and relatively local. I think it will be people who are within the neighborhood traversing that. I don't imagine that we will have a lot of people from the outside that will be doing the let's do Oakdale and let's do let's go up and down the streets to be able to work that through. So I think in the whole scheme of things, we aren't talking about a major traffic generator in this use for the most part anyway. So I think that traffic will be manageable.
And that I know that a pilot is being proposed, a payment in lieu of taxes, if in fact any kind of tax relief were obtained or being sought. Is it expected this is going to be a Comida application? Or?
It is not expected to be a Comida application. That is a standard offer on our incentive zoning applications in terms of town taxes. As it stands right now, Comida incentives are not available for this type of use at present.
And I welcome the idea of the expansion of the pocket park, and it would enhance the neighborhood. Maintenance, you specified, would be provided by the owner of the building.
Correct.
The operator.
Correct.
That's excellent, so it would not burden our Parks Department
Yep.
At all.
And even people who live down the street can use it, right, Chris?
And you do mention smells. Now, your businesses as they exist right now are in close proximity to residences. I'm not aware of any kind of complaints or any kind of
Right.
imposition at all. And it's good that you address that as well.
Well, you couldn't get any closer in Lippman's because actually there are residents right on top of the building.
That's very true. As far as the butcher goes, what I envision is that this is raw meat that's being cut and then
Yeah.
for retail sale.
Right.
Will there be any preparation of food otherwise, particularly will meat be cooked there and so forth?
There is some preparation of food that occurs now at the Lippman's locations. It's you can call it sandwiches, grab and go, however you want to characterize it, but it's not a restaurant type of facility. It's not meant to be that.
Very good. Thank you. And please do not take any effect that I ask questions that I am at all taking a negative attitude or approach to this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just sort of to follow up on that, do you anticipate that there would be any patron seating in the store.
Naf Hanau, 207 Oakdale Drive. So currently, Malix is classed as a specialty food store. We have, with the approval, we checked with the Office of Zoning before we installed tables in there, or placed tables. So we have, 2 small tables that can each hold 3 people. This new facility would also be a specialty food store, and we're planning for probably about twice that amount of seating. So you're talking about maybe 4 small tables, but no Wi-Fi, no outlets. This is not a place where people are, going to be sitting all day and doing their work and having a cappuccino. It's not a restaurant, and I have very, very little interest in ever operating a restaurant. This is a market, bakery, and really it's a to-go operation. So you can order a sandwich, you can get coffee, you can get, a tuna melt or something like that. There's no waiter service, right? Counter service. If you order something to be, consumed on-site or off-site, you put in your ticket, you pay, and then you pick it up at the counter. And then you can sit at the seating. So it's really just the same as we are currently operating in Malix. In Lippman's, we could do the same thing. In theory, there is just not space for it. At Lippman's, we have a bench outside. So in nicer weather, our customers can sit outside and enjoy their hot pastrami sandwich. But this is, again, meat, prepared foods. You can, something that the kosher community has not really had in years. Right? Everybody can go to Wegmans or go to any supermarket and pick up, prepared food for dinner if they don't want to cook tonight. That is not something that the kosher community has been able to do. We have been able to expand that to a degree with, to people's great appreciation at Lippman's, but to have an actually expanded market where that's available to everybody, in the kosher community or not, right in the neighborhood is the idea. But definitely not a restaurant. It's you can have a cup of coffee, you can have your Danish, you can sit down just like you can at Malix.
Would any of those seats be outside?
We are not looking for outdoor seating. The Pocket Park, in terms of the incentive that we are proposing, is a pocket park for the benefit of the community with a couple of benches. It's really, the way that we have designed it is actually, it's kind of intentionally separated from the exit of the building. Like, we are not trying to encourage our customers to grab their food and go sit and eat in the park. The planning committee seemed to be interested in more seating in the park, and that's lovely. And if that's the direction we want to go, and adding green space and adding, parking space. And I will also say, some of those suggestions that were offered by the planning committee will probably increase the cost of the project. We would be more than happy to reduce the cash gift in leeway. These businesses are not cash cows. These businesses are labor intensive. They are somewhat high risk as well, right? Where you deal with perishable foods. So these are not high margin businesses, but these are businesses that we are very passionate about and are kind of critical infrastructure for the community that I grew up in and that Anna has come and adopted. So, if the planning board wants and the town board wants there to be more seating that is accessible for customers, sure. But that's not our intent, and because we understand how that can impact, outdoor seating is a different thing. We are not a restaurant, we're not looking for that, so.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
You have a
go ahead.
question?
No.
So I'm a big fan of Malix and Lippman's, so I'm excited that you've got a new vision for it. And, the future looks good. I have 2 questions that haven't been touched on yet. For the outdoor amenities, do you intend to have trash receptacles available, whether it's in the Pocket Park or adjacent to the entrance to the shop?
Certainly adjacent to the shop, and I think that the Pocket Park as it stands would have some small, trash receptacles, just so that, because you just don't want, whether or not people would be coming there to eat, you just always have to have something in the park that the business will be, again, the maintenance of the park would include that maintenance. If the planning board wants to change the direction and says, okay, we want to see a picnic table in the Pocket Park, then obviously we would need, more trash, or more trash receptacles.
Just wanted to be sure that there's a sense of where to go with the the wrappings and whatnot. And then the other, you've talked a lot about access to the parking. I'm thrilled to hear about the shared parking setup, that we need to see more good agreements like that throughout our business districts. You've talked about walking to the shop. How about bicycle parking, bike racks, making it, we're more and more a biking town all the time.
Yeah, so there, the bike rack is kind of the easiest thing to figure out where to put. There is room for it. I think where it finally goes will just depend on where the final site plan lands in terms of, there was push from the planning board to see if we can reduce the number of parking spaces. So, if that happens, that makes it even easier for a bike rack, but the entryway is well set up for that as well.
Excellent, because we don't currently have a requirement for bike amenities, but we'd like to see that become a standard practice even before we have a requirement.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, excellent, even better. Great, thank you.
Yes, come on up to the podium if you would, please. And again, I know it's old, but please state your name and address.
Susan Boland, 41 Hollywood Avenue. So just a follow-up on the pocket park. Do you have an envision of where this would be, and is it just going to be grass with some benches, or is it going to have, this is,
It's right on the corner of Farina Drive.
yes,
For the record, Jerry Goldman. On the corner of Marina and South Winton. So you can see where Marina is up there, and Winton would be on the right on that picture.
oh, okay. So these buildings have moved sideways.
No, those
Oh.
are benches.
Oh, those are,
benches.
and where is the building? Oh,
Building is
existing
here.
building is
Building
here.
is there.
Okay. So it's a lawn with benches, and it faces Verena.
Yes.
Okay.
Jerry, is that image currently part of the record? And if not, would you like to?
And earlier, why don't we put it in? The
Okay.
earlier iteration of it certainly was part of the planning board, but why don't we offer this
Great.
as something that we can put into the record now as we want to. If you want to circulate it down the road for the board members to see, Dan, you want to give them
I'm
the
not sure
opportunity.
if that's, yeah, I guess it is. It sounds like an earlier version.
Yeah.
I see the earlier,
Yeah.
what I presume is the earlier version. so,
Correct.
Okay.
Knopf Hanow, 207 Oakdale. For the record, I actually studied professional horticulture. I did 2 years at the New York Botanic Gardens School of Professional Horticulture. My first business was C&P Landscaping, right here in Brighton. So, well-versed in garden care, and I was actually a farm manager as well, so it's going to be a good garden.
And Naftali, your background is also in, before you came back home, you were also in business in New York City doing a similar?
In New York City, we ran a business called Grow and Behold Foods, where we shipped pasture-raised kosher meat, so the kind of meat you get at the farmer's market, which isn't kosher. So we made that meat kosher, and we shipped it nationwide. That is an expensive product. At Littman's, we serve the entire community, so we have a range of products and price points so that it's accessible to everybody. But we, built and then sold the business selling meat nationwide. We had about 40 or 50 employees. Our managers worked with us and were employed by us for 6, 8, and 10 years when we sold the business. We really found and maintained good people. We are building a really good team right now at Malix and Littman's. We look forward to having them work in one facility, make those meetings a little bit easier.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, either from the public or from members of the board?
Well, I wanted to take a second to thank the Hanow family and also the August family for doing this. I also live in the neighborhood on Warrington Drive, and this is something we desperately need. So thank you for all the hard work I know very well that the food service industry is very taxing and thankless. So thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Then again, while we will not take action tonight, we will continue the public hearing at our next meeting. Can I have a motion to table this matter until our April 8th, 2026? Ooh, that's
Yeah.
Pesach.
It's possible that we will have representation, but we don't want to delay this.
Okay, okay. All right.
Bill, I move that we table this hearing until the upcoming meeting of April 8th.
Second.
And again, confirming, despite it being during Pesach, you're okay, good, good. Then, if there's no further comment, Dan, please call the roll on the motion to table this matter.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye.
If I may add just one other thing?
Sure.
For the benefit of the public, because of the Passover holiday, if there are comments that the public has that they want to share with us so that perhaps we can process answers ahead of time and be able to report back to the board, that would be great.
Perfect. Yes, if anybody does, you can direct them either by email or snail mail to the clerk, Dan Amon, at
Daniel.amen@brightonny.gov, and then I'll make sure and get all those questions over to NAF and Jerry.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm hungry. I see a, I was going to say. Thank you. The only question is, will it be pastrami or hamantaschen?
Yes, that's all you need to cover both.
Okay. We have no items of communication listed, but I do want to read a letter that I just received. You'll understand it in a moment why I'm not going to be sharing the name of the person who wrote me. But, dear Mr. Maley, hi, my name is, but I like to go by his nickname. And I am 10 years old. I'm a student at Indian Landing Elementary School, and I live, I'll just say, on Penfield Road. The reason I am sending this letter to you is because I was wondering if you could put a stop sign or crosswalk at Treetown Cafe or just near Colonial Village Road. Since I live right on Penfield Road, I know how dangerous it is to cross the road. Also, cars are going something like 55 miles an hour when they're supposed to be going 35, which is why I also would like to propose a speed limit sign. If you are willing to do this, then I, the other people, and all the kids on the street would be very delighted. I have also included $10 in this envelope to help pay for the project. Sincerely, I just love this letter, and I thank you. You're probably not watching, but I really appreciate you having written. And we're very grateful for your donation. Although I don't think the board is going to accept it. But what I do think is that we have looked very closely at the need for crosswalks across Penfield Road, one or more locations. Penfield Road is a little tough because there are some, hills and valleys. The sight lines can be a little challenging. But we know people want to get back and forth across the street. So your letter is certainly timely, it's certainly topical, and it's certainly one more factor that I know the town board will take into account in making final decisions about one or more crosswalks on Penfield Road. And thank you for writing. Christine?
Yeah, the people closest to the ground, so to speak, have the clearest view of what's needed there. And I hope that we can forward this communication from our young resident to the county DOT as further evidence that there is a need for that crossing there,
Yep.
that it warrants consideration and approval and installation.
You're never too young to start advocating.
That's right.
That's a future A+ social studies student right there.
Yeah, and perhaps a future council member.
I was just
That's
gonna say,
right.
I know
That's
we've
right.
got one here to my right. And yes, because Penfield Road is a county road, and therefore the county DOT takes charge of improvements, signage, speed limits, and the like. I will make sure that we forward this to the county DOT. Can I have a motion to receive and file this item of communication?
I move that we receive and file the item.
It is dated March 10th. I can,
The item of communication dated March 10th from a young resident of Brighton,
of Penfield Road.
on Penfield Road, yes.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, we've been talking about this for a long time. So why don't we have a crosswalk there? That's my question. Is this a county problem? Is this a town problem? Because neighbors have been asking forever. They've been sending emails, they've been sending letters. So what's stopping us from having a crosswalk at the
The county
town
has
cafe?
to put it in.
So it's at the
county-
county? And who is at the county that makes this decision? Because I would love to give them a call. Who's the person in charge to say, okay, let's look at this again?
The,
I can get you his contact. There's a gentleman over there I deal with, and I've turned in quite a few.
But what I'd really like to do is forward this, and perhaps, Bill, have you engage, and get a status report on it, B, share, obviously, this young person's interest, but the interest of all of us in finding the best locations and getting those crosswalks installed. I would certainly hope with our RFBs, and I hope it will meet, because that's one of the other elements of putting in a crosswalk under their RRFB policy to get traffic counts. They may well have those, but to determine whether an RRFB would be installed at the county's expense or at our expense, depending on the volume of traffic.
I'd be happy to initiate a study there again.
Great, great.
again,
Thank you.
because this is not the first that
first
we've
time, no.
tried.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
You.
And I don't mean to suggest, Clara, that you would not, but I would like to have a formal.
Whatever it takes, I just need,
I think it's important that that the our highway department formally also reaches out and.
If
and
that doesn't work,
details
let me know.
everything we need to do.
I'll find them.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file that letter. Dan, if there's nothing further, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mann?
Aye. Committee reports. Community Services.
Yes, Community Services met last week, March 18th. We covered the waterfront, as always. Couple key discussions. We had an update from Dr. Moore on the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity initiatives. She notes that we have a Women's History Month program that will take place this Friday, March 27th at noon, right here in this room. The theme is innovation, and 4 panelists will be speaking to that theme. And forgive me, I don't have their names at my fingertips, but if anybody else recalls who they are.
Sandy Frankel.
Amy Stein,
Yep.
Chetna Chandrakala, and I don't remember.
Dr. Christine Richards.
Dr. Christine, I believe she's a doctor, Christine Richards.
Your internet's
Excellent.
fast.
Thank you. All very formidable figures in the community who we can certainly learn a lot from. The Parks Department is doing their usual battle with weather, dealing with downed trees, and also getting fields ready for spring sports. Discussion with the Brighton Central School District on balancing the district's needs for the town's fields and balancing that with the community needs and rental uses. But all involved are finding solutions to the shifting of activities due to the work that's going on the 12 Corners school campus. There was a discussion of field maintenance and possible fee for use of lights on baseball fields, and the usual contract renewals that come up in the spring, including mowing, because the grass will grow now that the sun is out. Recreation programs, we had an update on the Brookside renovation and move from one end of the building to the other. That is on track for the coming weeks. I don't know that there's a firm date set yet.
There is not.
Nope. But soon. We also touched on the farmers market, the relocation to the parking lot across the street here at the Golisano Institute. The market will open for the summer on April 26th, so mark your calendars and keep your fingers crossed for spectacular spring weather that day. We had quick updates on events. Of note, this Friday, in addition to the Women's History event, Brickyard Bunny Trail opens. So get your bunny shoes on, get down out there to the trail.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I see, yeah. Also, mark your calendar, April 25th, 2 significant events. Pharmaceutical Take Back will be taking place here at the SUNY Empire State parking lot. Thanks to the Brighton Police Department for facilitating that. Very efficient, drive up, drop it off, and go on your way. And if you plan your day appropriately, you can get over to Buckland Park for the Arbor Day community event. You can sign up to assist with planting trees that will get their start in the tree nursery. Sign up on the recreation site. May 9th, document shredding and electronics recycling events that will take place at the Highway Department at 1941 Elmwood Avenue, 9 to noon. So get your household papers, not your business papers, and your electronics together to drop off and clear out of your house. May 15th is the first community bike ride of the season, and we are grateful to we have 2 sponsors so far. County Legislator Sue Hughes-Smith is sponsoring one of the 3 rides of the season, and I'm sponsoring a second, and we are seeking a 3rd sponsor. So anyone in the room, come and see me.
I found a bike I could borrow.
You have a bike?
I'm in. Let's do it.
Excellent. So, and that's a sponsorship too?
I know you didn't just, I know it was rhetorical, but I was so excited because the last time I saw you, you said, find a bike. I found a bike.
I'm beyond overjoyed. So, and that's a sponsorship too, right?
You got it.
Awesome. Thank you. Business taken care of right here. Clean Sweep is taking place on May 16th. Be sure to sign up your friends, your neighbors, get out, clean up the neighborhood. You can sign up on the recreation website as well. The kickoff will be at the Winter Market Barn, and after all of the hard work, gather at French Road Elementary School for a free lunch. There is such a thing as a free lunch. Lunch provider TBD, but it'll be good no matter what.
And the kickoff is at 9?
Yes, at 9 a.m. Kickoff at 9 a.m. Come get your T-shirts, your gloves, your grabbers, all the gear, and get ready to clean. May 25th, Memorial Day ceremony that will take place at the Brighton War Memorial in Buckland Park at, I believe, 2 o'clock. Do we have a time set?
I don't think we do yet, but
Okay,
it is
in the
generally in the early afternoon because of all of the other veterans-related activities in the morning.
Excellent. And stay tuned for more details on the July 4th Community Celebration and the lineup for the bands at Buckland Summer Concert Series that kicks off on July 6th. In other business, we addressed the volunteer boards, volunteer management, support, and recognition. We are looking to convene the committee chairs, the board chairs, for some leadership exchange of information, considering synergies, and discussing recruitment process for filling open seats. And that is the most exciting bit of news from that committee meeting. The next meeting will be Wednesday, April 15th at 10 a.m. at the Brighton Recreation Center.
Thank you, Christine. Finance and Administrative Services.
So the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met this past Wednesday, March 18th. A couple items to note. One was the renewal of the Town of Brighton Sidewalk Repair Program contract with Pro Construction. And also our town's Chief Diversity Officer, Dr. Moore, brought to us a very exciting opportunity to hire Propio. It's an app to provide translation services, ASL, as well as over 350 additional languages. We would have them being offered at 5 different locations, including the town clerk's desk, the library, the town court lobby, and Recreation and Public Works departments, ensuring that we can offer equitable and inclusive access to all residents. So I would like to also thank Dr. Moore for working on this. Our next meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 1st at 8:30 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety.
Thanks, Bill. Public Safety has not met since our last town board meeting. Our next meeting will be on April 14th, right here at 0800 hours.
And Public Works.
Thanks, Bill. We have not had another meeting of Public Works since I last reported at our last town board meeting. Our next monthly meeting is April 14 at 9 o'clock a.m.
Thank you very much. Moving to new business, reading and approval of claims. Clara.
Thank you. Earlier today, I reviewed the claims totaling $885,426 with 46 cents. Some notable claims include about $260,000 for construction and electric work for the town hall renovation project, as well as $57,000 for what I praise the last use of road salt for the season. All the claims appear to be in order, so I move for them to be approved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Chris.
Next item, Bill, is to authorize the supervisor to renew an agreement with Pro Construction for the 2026 sidewalk repair program for a term of 1 year, effective immediately. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And that, I just want to confirm, 1 year, no renewal, option.
This is a exercise of the town's renewal option. I
The
believe
final
this is
op-
year 3
Yes.
of the bid that was received a couple years ago.
Yeah,
So
okay.
5% increase, and that seems
Yeah,
relatively
which is
modest given the
consistent
cost
with
of
the bid that
materials.
was submitted.
Yes. And I had some discussion with Chad Roscoe in the engineering department. The 5% is actually negotiated down from an earlier proposal. So it's tough. I mean, we hate to see increases like that, but that's unfortunately so many raw materials, and the owner cites raw material increases as, the reason.
7 to 10% increase in cost.
And he wrote that letter long enough ago that with everything that's changed in the world in the last month, but in any event, 5% it is. Thank you, Chris. And can I have a second?
I
We have,
seconded.
you did say, I
Yep.
was going to say we had one, because we wouldn't be talking about it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Chris, why don't you do the next one as well?
The next item is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Casella Waste Systems, Inc. for dumpster and recycling services for the town of Brighton for a term of 1 year with an option for 3 one-year renewals commencing April 1, 2026 through March 31, 2027. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
And actually, this is the second renewal of 3 available. There were originally 3 available renewals, so I think the resolution is correct, but we don't have 3 more, we have 1 more.
Correct.
Okay.
I see.
Chris made the motion.
Second.
Nate, second, thank you. Discussion? Again, we have a 5% proposed increase. That is the maximum permitted under the renewal terms. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Nate?
The next matter seeks to approve the disposal of a 1985 case roller, a 1998 Mack dump truck plow with a 2007 International dump truck with plow, 2016 Kubota sidewalk tractor, and 2011 Bomag roller through online or in-person auction. I move we approve this motion as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Bill, anything you want to say? These are obviously items that you've gotten a lot of years of use out of. One has been with us longer than you have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to see that in a museum someday. Now they've all been great pieces of equipment, and they're tired, ready to put to bed.
All right. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Clara, the next one, please.
The next matter seeks to accept a grant award from the Justice Court Administration Program for the purchase of 8mm safety and security tinted film for the court's exterior windows in an amount not to exceed $6,000 and amend the 2026 budget as necessary to reflect said grant. I move that we approve the resolution before us.
Second.
This is a program that the court takes advantage of typically every year. Relatively small grants, but grants that do help facilitate the court's operation. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye, and Clara, why don't you do the next one as well?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Propio for translation solution services for a term of 1 year, effective immediately. I move that we approve the resolution before us.
Second.
This is the matter that Councilmember Sanguinetti mentioned during her report on the Finance Committee, and it really will be a great way to make a whole range of translation options, including particularly ASL, available at 5 public-facing locations. I know the police department already has a different service available, so there will be 6 public-facing offices in the town at all of our different facilities that will be able to do these translations. And of course, to the extent, there's a need in one of the other offices at one of the locations, this is literally available on a laptop. So it will be able to be moved and used wherever in the buildings. But those really seem to be the public-facing locations that were most relevant, so.
Yeah, these will be hugely beneficial in the building, needless to say. We've had good service with or good sort of from the company that the police has contracted with for a long time now, for different languages, but the ASL piece of this with the video component of this is going to be huge. Certainly we do the best we can, and certainly, the deaf community is accustomed to navigating in a hearing world, and we do our best with passing notes and phones and things, because folks have varying degrees of lip reading ability, and this will be great that we're able to offer them and kind of, again, you offer more equal services to them. It's going to be great.
Thanks, Dan. One more opportunity to advance our communication capabilities, and in particular to advance our existing strong capabilities with the deaf and hard of hearing communities. We have a motion seconded. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Crowder?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris, the next matter.
Bill, the next item is it relates to the appointment and reappointments.
The one before that.
Excuse me, I jumped too far. Next item is to authorize the supervisor to approve change orders with Milestone Construction Partners for the Town Hall renovation project in an amount not to exceed $16,521. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
This, actually, there are four, each relatively small, approximately $4,000 each change orders in the ordinary course of the construction. These are the kind of things that sometimes you just determine are necessary as you get into the building. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Crowder?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine, the last item.
Yes, let me scoot on down. Oh, there we go. The next matter seeks to appoint and reappoint volunteers to our boards. We seek to reappoint Chris Yan of Avalon Drive to the Architectural Review Board, William Brower of Wilmot Road to the Sustainability Oversight Advisory Committee, both for, I'm sorry, they're not the same term lengths. Let me back up. Chris Yan for 3 years, effective January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2028. William Brower to SOC for 2 years, effective January 1, 2026 to December 31, 2027. And a new appointment of Reed Smith of French Road to the Sustainability Oversight Advisory Committee for a 2-year term effective immediately to December 31st, 2027. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, and thank you to all three of those individuals. Actually, although this is a new appointment for Reed to this board, he has been serving the town on the Conservation Board. So,
And that leads to a question. We knew that there were openings on the Sustainability Oversight Committee. We know there's overlap or not overlap, but synergistic connections between what the Conservation Board does and SOC. Will Reed be serving on both boards simultaneously?
yes, he will.
Okay, so we now have two community members who serve on both Conservation Board and SOC.
Yeah, and I really, although it's great, and I appreciate both of their commitment, I think it's important that we continue to have,
Yes, the charter of SOC does require one member to sit on the Conservation Board.
Right.
So now we have an abundance.
Right, but I think it's also important to make sure we have, different people on those boards as well to maximize the, the level of community input into a really important sustainability component who we are as local government. But we appreciate all of their service.
And this was reviewed with the chairs of both of the
Yeah.
the boards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's further comment, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, just one real quick note. Last night, council members Corrado, Werner, and I attended an annual briefing that the Rush Henrietta Central School District holds. The RH district covers all of the towns of Henrietta and Rush, and a good chunk of Brighton in much of the West Brighton part of our town. And every year they invite the supervisors and town boards to really a briefing, largely budget-driven, but also curriculum and other ongoing activities. They did review their proposed budget for the upcoming year, where the numbers come from. They discussed some other topics relating to curriculum and the like. I think it's great that RH does that every year. The Brighton Central School District does something similar, even more. They hold a couple gatherings each year that go beyond just the town board. They're community leader oriented. But in both cases, I really appreciate the opportunity for us to get direct input and, you know, the opportunity to engage in conversation and questions with not only school board members, but the administration of those two districts. People don't always distinguish between what is a function of a school district, what is a function of the town. They pay a tax bill and aren't always clear about which tax bill they're paying and everything else. So I think for us, it's really helpful to get that firsthand input from the school boards. So thank you, RH, thank you, Brighton, for doing those activities. We'll have would ask for a brief executive session tonight to discuss a matter of the
Leasing of real
real
property.
estate. Yeah. Matters of the attorney to the town.
You stole my thunder. I would like that same executive session to discuss a matter involving potential leasing of real property by the town.
Thank you. Matters of the town clerk.
I have nothing this evening.
Matters of the town board. Then, thank you very much to our ASL interpreters. We appreciate it again. Our next meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 8th at 7 p.m. Again, right here in this room at SUNY Empire State University, our temporary town hall, 680 West Fall Road. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter relating to the leasing of real property?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss matters involving leasing of real property.
Second.
And I would just note, I don't anticipate asking the board to actually take action. We want just to make everybody aware of this. So there won't be any resolution adopted during the executive session. I don't expect that we will be coming back out into public session after the executive session. So can I have a vote on that motion to go into executive session?
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanguinetti,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Thank you, everybody who was here or watching remotely. Have a great evening.